Imagine this. It's the 89th minute. Manchester City are 3-0 up. But instead of passing to a teammate for an easy goal, Erling Haaland shoots from 35 yards. Again. And again. Because in this version of football, players don't get salaries. They get paid for stats, goals, assists, clean sheets, wins, nothing else. No guaranteed contracts, no 300,000 a week safety nets, no money for leadership, no reward for tactical discipline, only numbers. And at first, this sounds brilliant. Surely footballers would try harder. More goals, more excitement, more entertainment. But in reality, performance-only football might completely destroy the sport. Because modern football only works because players constantly do things that don't show up in the stats. And the moment money depends entirely on measurable output. Football changes forever. The first thing that disappears is selflessness, because assists would become almost as valuable as goals. And suddenly, every attack becomes a possible pay bonus. Think about the Premier League over the last few seasons. Kevin De Bruyne has built his entire career around creating goals for others. But under this system, why would he risk the assist when scoring pays more? Why square the ball when you can boost your own bonus? Even someone like Mo Salah, who combined elite scoring with elite creativity for Liverpool, would face a completely different incentive structure. Salah recently produced massive combined goal and assist numbers in a title-winning season. But now imagine every single attack carrying direct financial consequences. Every pass becomes, how much money am I losing by giving this away? And eventually, players stop making the correct football decision, because the correct football decision isn't always the profitable one. Now, imagine being a center back. You make 14 clearances, 8 interceptions, perfect positioning all game. But your striker scores twice. Guess who gets paid? This is where the system starts collapsing psychologically. Defensive work in football is often invisible. A defender preventing danger rarely appears on highlights. A defensive midfielder covering space doesn't show up on Instagram. A fullback staying disciplined won't make any money, but football at elite level is built on sacrifice. Take Rodri at Man City. For years, he's been one of the most important players in world football, not because of flashy numbers, but because he controls risk, and risk management doesn't sell in a performance pay system. So, eventually, nobody wants defensive responsibility anymore. Every kid wants attacking stats. Every player wants visible output. Suddenly, center backs dribble forward. Constantly, midfielders stop tracking runners. Wingers refuse to press, because pressing doesn't pay. Goalkeepers become completely paranoid, because now their salary depends on clean sheets, which means conceding one goal could cost tens of thousands of pounds. So what happens? Goalkeepers stop taking risks. No progressive passing. No sweeper-keeper behavior. No brave distribution. Someone like Ederson would actually become less valuable. Why risk a dangerous pass if one mistake destroys your paycheck? Modern football currently rewards controlled risk. Performance-only football punishes it. So the entire sport becomes more conservative instantly. Now let's talk about strikers, because this system would create absolute chaos up front. Think about Haaland. In normal football, his movement creates space constantly, even when he doesn't score. But movement without goals wouldn't matter anymore. So why make sacrificial runs? Why drag defenders away? Why create space for teammates under performance-only football? Every striker becomes obsessed with shot volume. And suddenly, the dressing room turns toxic, because forwards are directly competing financially against teammates. Imagine Haaland ignoring Foden, Vinicius shooting instead of crossing, Kane refusing to drop deep. Entire tactical systems collapse because cooperation becomes economically irrational. This is where it gets interesting. Different leagues would collapse in different ways. La Liga might actually become unbearable, because Spanish football already prioritizes technical expression and attacking identity. Now imagine adding direct financial incentives to that. Every match becomes long shots, dribble attempts, impossible through balls. Defensive structure evaporates. Possession becomes selfish instead of collective. Even elite systems like Barcelona's positional play rely on players making unselfish movements constantly. But now, those movements don't pay, so they disappear. Oddly, the Bundesliga might adapt better than anyone, because German football already embraces verticality, transition football, statistical production. Players like Thomas Müller have built careers on measurable attacking output, while creators in Germany consistently rack up assist numbers. But even there, the system eventually breaks, because football isn't basketball. You cannot isolate individual contribution cleanly. A pressing trigger, a passing lane block, a decoy run. These things win football matches without appearing in statistics. And once those actions stop being rewarded, elite tactical football starts disappearing. Now clubs face another problem: recruitment, because suddenly footballers begin stat padding. Imagine a mid-table Premier League player scoring penalties and farming weak opposition, while another player sacrifices himself tactically for the team. Who gets paid more? The stat padder. And eventually, clubs stop signing the best footballers. They sign the best stat generators. This already exists slightly in modern football. Expected goals, progressive carries, shot-creating actions. Football is becoming more data-driven every year, but a fully performance-based economy would push this to insanity. Players would optimize for their own stats, not winning. And those are not always the same thing. Now, obviously, professional footballers already care about money. Some people watching this will say, "Isn't this already how football works?" And to an extent, they're right. Modern football is full of bonuses already. Goal bonuses, appearance bonuses, clean sheet bonuses, win bonuses. Players absolutely understand their market value. But there's a massive difference between money influencing football and money becoming the only reason to cooperate. Because despite everything, a lot of elite footballers genuinely love football. You can see it, players training obsessively, veterans dropping divisions just to continue playing, footballers pushing themselves to return from horrific injuries, academy kids sacrificing their entire childhood for a chance to play the sport. People like Luka Modric, Thomas Müller, or N'Golo Kanté clearly play with a level of joy and obsession that goes beyond contracts. But here's the uncomfortable reality: love of the game alone isn't enough. Because football careers are brutally short. One ACL injury, one failed transfer, one bad season, and your entire career can disappear before the age of 35. Most professional footballers don't retire as millionaires. Even at elite level, players know they're building financial security, not just for themselves, but for their parents, their children, maybe even future generations. Especially in modern football, where lifestyles inflate around careers, agent fees, mortgages, taxes, entourages, family dependence, lifestyle costs, and once retirement comes, the income stops frighteningly fast. That guaranteed contract, that stability, it allows players to think collectively. It allows them to sacrifice individually for the team. Because if every single match directly determined whether your family stayed financially secure, football becomes psychologically different. Suddenly, every pass, every shot, every mistake feels like survival. And survival changes how humans behave. The truth is, modern football depends on hidden labor. The best teams in the world are full of players doing boring things, covering space, rotating positions, pressing lanes, controlling tempo, sacrificing personal glory. And they do it because their salary is guaranteed. The contract creates stability. Take away the stability, and football becomes survival. Every player starts protecting their own income, which means fewer risks for the team, more selfish decisions. Tactical systems collapsing. Dressing room politics exploding. Eventually, the sport stops looking like football and starts looking like 22 freelancers fighting over bonuses. Ironically, stats-based pay sounds merit-based, but it would probably reward the wrong footballers. Not the smartest, not the most disciplined, not the players making systems function, just the players producing visible stats. And that's the terrifying part, because modern football is already drifting in this direction. More statistics, more branding, more individual metrics, more obsession with output, XG, accurate long balls percentage, touches in the opposition box. The sport increasingly measures what's visible, while ignoring the invisible work that actually wins matches. And maybe that's the real impossible football scenario. Not a future where players are paid only for performance. A future where football forgets what performance actually is.